Afternoon, everyone, and welcome again to another session in this webinar series. It happens weekly, and today we are having a session on SQL. So the title is Transforming Queries in SQL Using Window Functions. Our presenter today is Hakeem Anibi, and this session is brought to you by your BZEDGE and MHS Analytics. Your BZEDGE, we're a training and consulting company based out of Nigeria, and we have been sponsoring and enabling this webinar since 2020. So this is more than 3 years because it was around June, I think we started 2020. And so we've been pretty consistent in trying to always ensure that when we train people, when people use our service, they are getting a guarantee that they will know what they have paid to learn. So it's not like we train and give them the certificate and tell them bye bye, and there's nothing we are putting in place to help them to continuously practice. No, that's not how we operate. And this is one of the many things we do to ensure that people do training from us. They are constantly kept in loop of what's happening after training support, continuous learning, and we try to always be abreast of industry standards, how things are evolving, while at the same time we consult for companies. And that's the best type of trainer you want to get, someone who is not just training but also consult. So that's about how we differentiate ourselves. And MHS Analytics is a Canadian arm. So if you're outside of Nigeria and this is maybe more convenient for you to engage with, sure, yes. So now to today's session. Our speaker is Hakeem. He's a certified data analyst. He is adept at using data analysis tools like Microsoft Excel, Power BI, SQL, which is taking us on, and Python. And I'll share his LinkedIn link in the chat so you can connect with him. So at this stage, I'm going to hand over to him and stop sharing my screen. So Akin, over to you.
All right. Thank you, Michael. I really appreciate the introduction. So, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone, from everywhere you're listening to me and the program. So, I will just share my screen real quick. So, the topic before us today is transforming queries in SQL with window functions. I'm sure some of us might have heard about window functions, and some might just be totally new to it. So the question is, what is window function? For those of us who are new or who are just listening to it or just hearing for the very first time. So what window function does in SQL is that it makes a calculation or a particular operation across multiple rows that are related to that current row. So for example, a window function can allow you to calculate the running total of sales for each product over time. So let me just give another very relatable example. So now let's assume at your BizEdge, we have several departments, and then we want to rank each employee in each department by their salary. That is, in a department, we want to rank those employees in that department. Okay, maybe employee A is earning like 10,000 naira. Just an example, actually. So employee B is earning like 2,000 naira in a particular department, maybe in the marketing department. So we want to rank those in that department. So I'm going to rank them differently. Then we go to the next department, maybe the digital or social media department. The employees that are there so are going to be ranked differently. So in the marketing department, we've ranked those people already. We've given them their ranks, maybe like from 1 to 100 or 1 to whatsoever number of employees that we have there. Then in the media department also, we are going to do the ranking all over from 1 to whatsoever number employees that we have in that department. So we are actually doing a ranking by the department and not a general ranking, whereby all employees in the company are going to have a particular rank. That is how window function works. So it actually operates according to, so it operates across rows in a particular partition in a particular window. The window is actually the set of rows or the partition in a particular table. So we have several examples of window functions. We have the rank function, the dense rank function, the row number, lead, and lag, and so on. They're actually much, but because of time, I'll not be able to go through all types of window functions that we have in SQL. Maybe in our next classes, sorry, maybe in our next sessions that will be holding, we'll talk more about other types of window functions that we have in SQL. So people who are actually or who have heard about window function, they sometimes confuse or mistakes. They do mistake window function and group by. So they're actually two distinct functions and they do two different things. So on the one hand, if you are used to group bys already, so what group by does is like it just groups all rows in a table with similar values in one or more columns. So what it does is like it performs aggregates. For example, you want to know the total, or let's say, yeah, maybe the total amount of revenue generated in each month. So what it's going to do is it's going to get an aggregate of each month. Maybe in January, we sold like 4 items and we made maybe like 100,000 in January alone. So what the group by does is that it's going to aggregate everything and group everything by just the months. But on the other hand, what window function is going to do in that case, for each row in January, it's going to calculate the total amount of money made in January for each row. Another example is maybe we want to rank. Maybe we want to rank the amount of revenue we've made in each month in a year. In January, we said we sold 4 items. What window function is going to do is that in January, it can rank them in either ascending order or descending order, depending on the type of results you want to get. So what window function is going to do is in January, for the very first product, is to give it a rank. Okay, this is our number 1 selling product. Then to go to the next one, this is our number 2 selling product. It's to do like that for each month in a year. Assuming we sold or we opened for 11 months, maybe December is our vacation period. So for each month from January, it will rank all the products that we sold in accordance to the amount of revenue generated from them. It's ranked for January, it's ranked for February, from March until November. That is how window function works. But on the other hand, what group by will do is just to give you an aggregate of what happened, or like, let me say a summary of what happened in each month. If we sold 4 items and we made 100,000 naira, what group by will do for you is to give you January and just give you 100,000 naira. And then probably rank it, it's just rank the whole year as a whole. It's ranked January, February, March, April, May, and like that. Analytical tasks such as ranking, cumulative sum, run totals, and so on and so forth. But group by, on the other hand, as I said earlier, It's just used to obtain the summary of the data. It does what if you are used to, or if you use Excel often and use pivot table, it does what it's quite similar to what pivot table does in Excel. It's just going to give you like a summary of your whole table according to your preferred columns. That is what group by will do for you. So for example, it can get you the total sales per category. Maybe you have category A, and then you have some particular, maybe the particular products we have in what's it called? In category A, maybe rubber products. It's to just give you like the summary of all rubber products that were sold in category A. Then in category B, it's to go again. Maybe in category B, we sell just cotton materials. It's to just give you the summary, maybe the total sum or the average money or anything, or the minimum. It's to just give you that summary of that particular category. Then in Windows function, it does not reduce the number of rows in the result set. For example, maybe in the whole year, we actually sold 144 items. So you're going to get that exact 144 rows. Instead of removing or reducing rows or getting an aggregate of those rows, is to just add a new column that will show the result of our calculation. As I said here, I'll use it for things like ranking or cumulative sum and the likes. So it's just going to create a new column telling us, okay, for this particular product, this is the ranking. For the next product, this is the ranking. But for group by is just going to do a summary, more like pivot table. It's just going to group everything according to that particular column we want to see. So that is just the major and distinct difference between Windows function and group by. So when do we use Windows function instead of group by? As I said earlier, we use Windows functions when we want to do just a row level calculation. Maybe in this particular department, we want to get the ranking, we just do pam, pam, pam. We'll do the ranking for that particular department, then move to the next department. We also use Windows functions instead of group by when we want to compare each row in a specific window. As I said earlier, a window is like a particular set of row, like a partitioned set of row. Like okay, in this particular table, we are going to partition it by the states in Nigeria. Maybe we have a table consisting of the total revenue made in Nigeria. So for Ogun states, we have the local governments, for Lagos states, and like that. So if you want to compare those rows, and as in each rows in the whole table, maybe if each local government in the Ogun states, I want to compare just the rows, we can use window functions instead of group by. So just a little icebreaker. Is there anyone who can just, from the little I've explained so far, which one of these two, should I say image or tables and results, is maybe a scenario whereby the group by is used, and the other one whereby the window function is used? You can just type in the comment section, sorry, the chat box rather. Is there anyone who is trying or who is willing to? Okay, Bello said B is a sample of Windows function. Let's see. Yeah, that is absolutely correct, Bello. So the B is a scenario whereby the window function is used because we're still getting the same amount of or same number of rows as we had in the initial stage, compared to A, whereby everything has been grouped by one particular factor. Okay, so this is just a syntax of a Windows function. Just you select column 1 or column 2 or any type of column or the number of columns you want to select. Then the highlighted the green part where we have the Windows function is just an example or just a syntax of the Windows function. Then, as I said, we have several types of Windows function. We have rank, we have desk rank, we have lag, we have lead, we have row number, and so on. So yeah, inside of the window function, you're going to put the exact window function that you want to use. Then in the syntax, we have something called the overclose. So what this overclose does for us, it does the main partitioning. So what over does is it groups or it partitions the rows in our table into windows. Like I said earlier, a window is just a set of rows. Let's assume in a company, let's say at your business, we have several departments and then we have employees in each department. So for a particular department, maybe the tech team or the tech department, that particular department is a window on its own. And the overclose is going to help us partition that particular department, or those departments is going to partition the rows we have into departments. So in the overclose, we have the function called partition by. This is the one that does the major work in the overclose. Although sometimes it's optional in some cases, in some particular type of window function. We don't use the partition by function, or they are going to get there. Then secondly, aside the partition by, we have the order by. So what this order does is it just gives, just as the name implies, it just sorts our results for us. Like the ranking, maybe we want to rank the total revenue by, yeah, maybe we want to rank it by total revenue. So I'm going to order by that total revenue column to rank it. In such a, if you are ranking in a descending order, that means from the largest to the smallest. That means we want our largest to have rank 1. That is like the very first position. Then the second highest revenue is going to have like the rank 2, which is the second position. So that is what the order by close function actually does in the overall overclose. So the very first type of ranking, sorry, the type of window function I'm going to be looking at is the ranking window functions. Then we have, okay, I want to drop a link. Oops, sorry. I want to drop a link to the material I'm going to be using. Okay, I dropped it in the chat box. I initially wanted to use the AdventureWorks database, but I know not everyone is going to be having that. So I created a CSV file whereby we can just import into SSMS and then everyone is going to follow along like that. So I'll just give like a minute or two for us to get that particular material. I dropped the link in the chat box already. Please, you can just go and download. Then we'll actually go through the importation of CSV into SSMS together. So just a minute, by 4:23 my time, I will just continue. Just a minute, Grace. Okay. So let me just briefly explain the ranking window functions are going to be going through. So we have the row number. just as the name implies, what the row number does is just to assign unique numbers to each row in the whole table. So this does not actually need the partition by clause, or sorry, the partition by function in this case, because all it wants to do is just give each row a unique number. Then we have ranking. What ranking does is that it assigns a unique rank to each row within the result set, that is within that particular partition, as I explained earlier. But in this case now, we can't have like two numbers. So for example, now, back then maybe in primary school or secondary school, where we still use the position system. So, you can have like two people who are like the very first position or second position. While if we should use ranking in such scenario now, what it's going to do is those two people are going to be having first. Then the next person, instead of having sorry, look, can you hear me? Okay. So it's just going to assign a unique rank to each row, but it's going to just jump. But this rank is just like an opposite. Let's start and let's go to our SSMS. So I'll be creating a new database for this particular webinar. You can write the code or just easily right click the database, then click on new database. And I'll be naming the database webinar. You can name it whatever thing you want. Then okay. So just want to quickly import our CSV file. So we right click on the new created database, which I named webinar. Then you come to the tasks. Then down here, you see import flat file. Let's click on that. Then you might not be able to see the whole, what's it called again? The prompt. You can just reduce and then drag a little bit up. Then click on next. Then it's asking you where the file you want to import is. Then for me, it's on my desktop. Then I just select it, is a CSV file. Then I can rename it to whatever thing I want. Maybe we can just leave it at Windows function. That'll be the name of the table. Then the schema is going to be the default schema. Then next. So this is just a preview of our data. Then we want to choose the primary key and then just ensure that all data types are exactly as we want it. So maybe because of the nearest feature, maybe it's going to be a table that is going to get updated or something. So just change this to the integer data type, then this small int so our table can be easily scalable. The other quantity to want to be an integer. The price, we can either leave it as a float or let's use money. Then line total is just the total amount of money gotten from the sales of that particular product. Then dates, okay, dates, oh, that's a mistake. Dates is the dates data type, then customer ID, can leave it as an int. So our primary key here is going to be the sales ID. Then next, then just a summary. Then now it has successfully imported. Then we can close this. We can expand the webinar database, expand the table. Then this is it over here, window function. Then a new query. Let's preview what we have in our table. Can just drag this here and then execute. Okay, so this is the table we're going to be using. So we have the sales ID column, product ID column, the quantity, the other quantity, the unit price. The line total is just the summation of, or the total revenue that was gotten. And then you have the sales date column and then customer ID. So let me just increase this a bit. So now we just want to, although we have the sales ID, which gives like the total row number, but then can also utilize the row number. Let's just row number function. So select, then the new, don't forget Windows function actually creates a new column entirely. So now we'll say row number. I click on that. Then the over clause. In this particular one, we won't be using a partition by because we want to give the whole table or all the rows in our table a particular unique number. We want to give them a row number. So we'll be using a partition by function. Then we just say order by the sales ID. Can close this. Then we'll give the column a name. We can say row number. Don't forget, you can't put space between row and number. Then from where our table, we are using this particular table. Then can either use the F5 key or we can come over here to execute. So here we have it. The row number column has been created for us. So you can see we have a total number of 150 rows. So moving on, we have the rank. What rank does is it gives a unique rank to each row within the result set. So in our case now, what we want to achieve is to rank the product ID, like our products, by the total amount of money made from them upon each sales. So you can say, okay, let's just give this rank function. So select, we just want to see the product ID. Product ID. And we want to rank this product ID. You can actually check, just select a few other columns, other quantity, the line total, because this is what we're going to be ordering by. Then the new column we want to create, which is our rank column. So we close, then our over clause. So now we want to partition it by the product. So for each product, we want to give each row in a particular product. So as you can see on column B over here, we have several products. Some are actually occurring once, some are bought multiple times. So for each product, we want to see the highest amount of money we've made from each product. We just want to rank them. So now partition by the product ID. Product ID, okay. Then we want our results to be ranked by, to be ranked by the line total. That's the total sum of money from each product, from each sales rather. line total. Then we give the column a name, which is, you can say, sales rank. From okay, you can run this. So we can see for product 700, sorry, product ID 700, we can see, okay, we actually ordered by, so by default, it orders by in ascending order. But what we really want to see is from the largest to the smallest. So put just after the column you're ordering by, we just identify that, okay, we want to rank it by, so we want to order it in a descending order. Let's just run this again. So for product 700, you can see we made 1,568 naira twice. So what rank does is that it gives a unique ranking. You know, now we have 1568, 156 appearing twice. So instead of it giving the next one the second position, it's just like in primary school, whereby two people got the very first position. So instead of giving the next person the second position, we'll just give the person the third position. There's some school systems that work that way. And there's some school systems that work in such a way that it's going to be 1, 1, then 2. That's for the dense rank. That's just the difference between dense rank and rank. In the ranking, it's just going to be a very unique ranking. So once there's a duplicate, it goes to the next number afterwards. It's not going to read that particular omitted number. So we can see also for product 703, we had three, or yeah, so we had 3 sales record that had 2,250 naira. So it gave them number 1 ranking. Then the next one, which is 1,500, it gave it the very 4th ranking. So we can also do the same for this ranking. It's quite similar to the ranking, but this one doesn't omit its own ranking. You can just copy this because it's the same logic and paste it. Then instead of rank, we can remove our rank, then put dense rank, dense underscore rank. Then you can execute. You can see over here that instead of like the what what rank did, instead of omitting rank number 2, that's the second position, it did not omit it. Let's just put them side by side and see. Let's copy this. And let's just give it another name so it can be easily identified. Then execute. So now we can see that for product 700.
You labeled the wrong one, that's right.
Oh, sorry. So let me just cut over here. Paste. Let me just close this. Can I have a larger screen? What is happening? Oops. Sales underscore thens underscore rank. Okay, can execute. Then you can see the difference. So for products 700, you can see what it did for the very third row. For dense ranking, it did not omit that number 2. But for sales, for the normal ranking, it actually omitted. So that's just like the major difference between dense rank and the normal rank. So rank actually omits, but dense rank doesn't omit. So let's move on. So another type of window function we have is the analytical window functions. So under here, we have the lead and we have the lag. So this, what they actually do are majorly for comparison. So we compare this particular row that we are on within that whole window frame, that's those set of rows. We compare, let's assume in this department, there are 4 employees. I want to compare their salaries. So for the very first employee, we compare it to the second one, then to the third one, and then to the fourth one in that particular window frame. Then it moves to the next window frame. It compares, maybe we have 5 employees in this time around. It's compared the very first one to the second one, to the third one, to the fourth one. And this can be done in 2 ways. Is that you want to compare it to the next row, we are comparing to the past or previous row within that same window frame. That is what the lead and lag does. So let's check them out. So you have, let's start with lag. So we just want to compare the line total or let me say, for each customer, I want to see how much money they made or how much we made from them previously compared to now. Let's dig in. So select the customer ID. So it's not like you're just tracking the changes in sales order over time per each customer. The customer ID, maybe the sales date. Okay, the line total, that's the total amount of money we made from them. Then we have lag. Here we are going to be including a particular column we want to work on. Now it is the line total. Then don't forget our overclose, very important. Like the major thing in Windows function, the overclose. So we can partition by now we are looking for each customer. So against partition by the customer ID. Then we want to order by the sales date to say, okay, this particular day they spent this compared to what they spent last week. Order by sales date. You can just give it a name, maybe previous. If you say customers, okay, let's just say previous sales amount. Then from just say from the Windows function table. Okay, let's execute this. So we have it here for customer ID 1000. So now we are ordering by the sales date. So on the 4th of this is June, this person spent 2,820 naira. The next time the person came to our store, which was on the 10th, the person spent 964 naira. So we can compare, looking at this column now, we can say, okay, on this day, on row 2, this person spent 964 naira. But when the person came to our store the last time or the previous time, the person spent 2,088.20 naira. Then the third time the person came to our store, which was 7th of July, person spent this total amount compared to what the person spent the last time. Then maybe that particular day, the person bought something else for 118 naira. Then we can just compare to the previous sales amount. So that is how lag actually works. Is used for comparison, like previous comparison actually. Like you're going to compare the current to the previous. So lead actually does the opposite. We're comparing the present to the next one. Okay, this person spent this amount this time. The next person, the person came, they spent this particular amount. So we can just equally copy this for lead because they have the same logic, just different function. You can also change this to next sales amount. Then, so here we have it. So when this person came on the 4th of June, the person spent over 2,000 naira, almost 3,000 naira. The next time the person came, which was on the 10th of June, the person spent almost 1,000 naira. What happened? You can actually go back and then consider several factors that the person spent that particular amount. Maybe the product the person bought and stuff like that. But what really happens, okay, I missed this part, is that on the very last day, because we don't know or we don't have record of the next, we don't know what the future holds. So it's actually going to return no. In the case of lag, because you don't know, because this was the very first time person came, so there is no record for the past. So the very first row or the very first cell in that window frame is going to be null. It's going to be an empty cell. Let's just put them side by side like we did the last time. And see, let's copy this guy, which is, okay, let's remove line total and include lag. Then can compare previous and the next one. So now you can see what I was saying. For customer ID 1000, we can compare the previous to the next. So that's how lag and lead works. So aggregate window functions, like we know the sum, the average, the counts, like we do in the normal select statements for group by. We can actually do the same thing in Windows functions. But this time around, we'll just be comparing, okay, this is the amount compared to the total sum or the total count or the maximum amount that this person has spent in our store or the minimum amount that this person has spent in our store. So that is how the aggregate window functions work. Just the same syntax, the sum, the average, the count, but this time around is going to have an over clause. That is what is going to be partitioned by. So in our data sets over here, maybe we should use, okay, let's use the sum first. Sum. So what we really want to do here is we want to get the total sum of money that a customer has actually spent in our store. We want to compare the current amount compared to, or that for that particular day, compared to the total amounts that this person spent. So you can just select the customer ID. It's actually always good to you select the very first column you're partitioning by. So the whole table is going to make a whole lot of sense more compared to when you are putting it like in the middle. So the select customer ID, then maybe the line total, then the sum, as I said earlier. So what I'm summing up now is the line total. Then our over clause. So now don't forget you are going to be partitioning by the customer ID. Partition by customer ID. Okay, can just close this as the sum amount from our table, the window functions table. Okay, this can go. Okay, can execute that. Okay, maybe we should just add the date so you can actually.
In business, there's always
Yeah,
money.
sorry, I'm back.
Okay. All right. I
So I
was a
just
bit,
noticed that I got off. So where did I?
it's like
So
about
where did?
10 minutes ago. So
Are
let
you
me,
serious? I just noticed right
you
now.
are doing
Wow.
you finished let me stop sharing. You can start sharing your screen again.
Okay.
Right. So you've done the lag and lead, but if
Wow.
we look at scroll, let me see. You've not done max. I don't
Wow.
think you've done
Wow.
max.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
All
Wow.
right. So
I never knew. Okay.
right. So I think you can continue then. I
Okay.
think you
So
can
have I
start.
done lead?
You've done lead, you've done lag.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's this
Maybe I'll just
last three,
start
this sum
from.
average. Yeah, I don't think I
Okay. Okay.
remember.
Okay. Okay, I'll just start from there. So
Okay.
as I was saying, or as I said, well, no one heard me. So I was just saying, just like we have in normal SQL queries, in normal group by statements, where we can do the sum, the average, the count, the normal aggregate functions we have, whereby you just do a group by. We can also do something similar in Windows function. So what it actually does meaning here is probably just for comparison. We are comparing what happened here to what happened there. So we have just, because we are short of time already, so I'll just dive right in. So for sum, what I did was wanted to get the sum of amounts from each customer compared to what they spent maybe on each day. So I did customer ID, the sales date, the line total, and the sum. Then what we're summing up is the line total. We want to get the total sum of Then our over clause, partition by customer ID, because what we want to see is for each customer. And you can name the column sum amount. Then what we are doing is from this table. Then we can execute. And can just drag this up. So we can see on this person's first day, person spent 2,820 naira compared to the total sum of money that this person spent. So even from this, you can even calculate like the percentage of amount that this person has spent on each sales, on each. So the next we'll be doing is the average, just as the name implies. It's more like we're getting the median. We're getting the average amount of money that this person has spent. So we can just copy this to save time. So paste. Well, now we are changing the sum to average. Let's change the other name, the column name rather, to average amount that this person has spent. Let's see how much the person has spent compared to the average amount. Okay. So for customer ID 1000 on this particular day, the person spent far above his or her average. So you can actually see and just check. Maybe we want to draw insights. Okay, do people actually spend more on their first day than, or they spend more than their average on the very first day? So for this guy on his first day, you can actually get the first day because we're ordering by the line total. Okay. But then on this particular day, this person spent 2,800 far above the average amount. So you can do the same for min and max. We just compare, okay, let's compare each sales record for each customer ID. Let's compare that amount, the line total or the total amount made on that particular sales compared to the maximum amount that this person has spent at once in our store. So again for max, just change this to max and then max. Then you can, okay, this is a comment. Then let's run this. Then you can see for this particular person, on this day, this person has spent, oh, sorry, this person spent 2,820. That happens to be the maximum amount that this person has spent in our store. Then for ID 1001, you can see the difference, or let's just do the difference and see. So you can do maybe line total difference in amount. So you can do the line total minus the max amount. Let's just leave that for now. Let's do the minimum. Let's just check out the minimum. Oh, there was a comma there. Can I just do the minimum because of our time? So you can just change the minimum. Let's see the minimum amount compared to the amount spent each day. That's the minimum. Then you can run this. So on this day, this person spent 2,820 naira. Then the person's minimum is 188. Let's see how close does this person actually spend close to the minimum. Maybe just once. Then this person is a very good customer of ours. We should actually make sure this person keeps patronizing us at all means. So for this guy, his minimum is 450, but then he's also trying in this economy. So that's just for the minimum. So we are getting the minimum for each customer. Then we can do a count, maybe a count of the total product that each customer has gotten from us. Just the same syntax. This is going to be count. Copy, change the main to count, and count of products. We're going to change this because once counts the product. So what we're counting is, okay, this person has gotten an iPhone from us. This person has gotten a Mac from us. Let's count product ID. This person has gotten an HP system from us. We're not counting the quantities this time around. It's just the type of products we're counting. So you can see for customer ID 1000, the count of products that this person has gotten from us. He has gotten like 7 different types of products. Then, okay, let's just order by count. Okay, let's just continue because of time. So you can see customer ID 1002 has gotten 10 different products from us, and so on. So we can actually just see, okay, from this 10 products this person has gotten, what's the total sum of money? You can actually add this guy over here, which is the sum of amounts as a column. And you can see. So each person has gotten 7 products, and then the total sum of amounts spent on these 7 products is 9,596 naira. We can also get the average just to compare and see how things work. Although, in my own opinion, I think it's much better to use the normal group by if you want to do things like this, because for each customer that has gotten something from us, the same stuff to just keep repeating. So it's actually much more better to use the group by function here instead of the code, the window function. Let's do an average. The average amount. Okay. So you can see this guy has gotten 7 products and has spent 9,596 naira. But his average spending or average amount spent on each good or each product, each product actually is 1,370 naira. Let's see the guy that got 10 products from us. Okay, he has actually spent over 12,000 naira. So that's a very good customer. So and so on. That is how. So we actually come to an end of Windows function, although there's a whole lot more in Windows function. There's a blog on at what's it called? blog.yourbusiness.com where you can read more about the Windows function. And hopefully in my next section, we'll talk much more deeper on Windows function. So thank you everyone for listening. So we draw the curtain at this point.
Okay, thank you. I think maybe two questions from Bello. He's still in. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you check the chat, so it says, is it possible to use the window functions within a table that is a result of a join? Like, can you use
Yes,
it
we can actually
alongside
use
a
a
join? Yeah.
yeah,
Sorry,
we
go.
can use a Windows function alongside the join. That's actually very possible. So below, have I answered the question? Okay, and again, is it possible to use Windows function in soft select close? Sorry, soft select close as can you be more definite with the question below? So can below hear me? Okay, okay.
Let me see if I
So
can
do you want
give him a
to?
speaker role.
Okay.
So I've given him a speaker role. So Bello, yes, I've given you a speaker role. In fact, I can give everybody a speaker role. We are not that many left. So Bello, if you want to unmute and ask him directly, for that, explain your question. Hakeem, do you see what he has typed in the chat? So he says, so I think I understand just what he wants, and the answer is actually yes. Like if you have a query that is, let me just share my screen. Hakeem, are you still there? But if you're not, like, I think I can even just pull up something to show. Like, for instance,
Yeah, sorry,
something
I was
like this.
muted. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, you
okay.
can go on. You can go on. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So, like a sub select, if you have, you know, it's subqueries actually. That's the right word. So two
Oh,
queries.
subquery. Okay,
So
okay, okay. Yeah.
to be sincere, I think it goes back to what you originally explained, that you should just think of it as a function that creates an additional column.
Column
So
sweet.
it doesn't limit, using it doesn't limit other functionalities in SQL. It does not, that you use it does not mean something else will not work. As long
Okay.
as what you are, whatever thing else you are using works alongside an additional column, then, so that's just my own way of like saying it would be a yes. But yeah, I came
Yes.
over to you. Let me stop sharing my screen.
Okay. So, all right. You said that is it. Okay. Very good.
Okay, so I think maybe at this point, if there are no other questions, I want to say a big thank you to everyone. I'm going to just share, as usual, our webinar feedback link. So please just give us a feedback, and also I see regular faces. I see us. The names that I'm looking at the screen are regular attendees. So if any one of you is interested in presenting too, we always have slots. And thank you very, very much. Let me see if I can also share that one for speaker form. Yes. So, but thank you very much. It's always an honor to, take part of your time. It's you have a, like they say,
Yeah,
even
it's
when
my
you,
it's my
yeah.
pleasure.
Yeah. So even though we will say this is free, you're actually paying by being here. So thank you very much, and your feedback will always help us to prioritize the topics we present on. Thank you, and have a wonderful week ahead. So I'm going to end this session here, and thanks Hakeem for the wonderful presentation.
Yeah,
Thanks.
it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Bye everyone.